Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, we have a very special guest with us over here. He's been on this show 3 times before. It's his 4th time, Sajid Pasha from Cricket for Us 2.0. And today we'll be talking about Pakistan's victory versus Bangladesh at the second test match in Dhaka. An unlikely victory against all odds by an innings and 8 runs on this volume of
CRIQAZI Diaries.
Have a look at that. Smiles up. Oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, happy with the members, and it went like a rocket. Well, we get 24.
Welcome back to the show, Azhar. You must be really happy after that test match victory.
Yeah, man. Excited to be here as always, but very, very happy that Pakistan have won this match. It was an unlikely victory. A lot of rain, weather disruptions, bad light, all that stuff. But yeah, thankfully, Pakistan won that series 2-0.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm chuffed to bits as well. And for all our viewers who haven't seen Azhard's podcast, he also does YouTube videos on cricket. Go check out Cricket for Us 2.0. Subscribe to the channel for sure. You like his content. So without further ado, Azhar, Pakistan had 2.5 days to force a result in this test match. I honestly thought that this is going to be a short draw, but they surprised everyone. They did manage to force that result and in quite some fashion, and then also securing those crucial World Test Championship points, which might as well be the difference at the end of it. You know, these points might take Pakistan to the final eventually, because now they've got 3 home test series coming up versus Australia, England and New Zealand, and then an away test series versus Sri Lanka, which you would back Pakistan to win. So just how important was this test match victory, and what would you like to say about the emphatic fashion in which Pakistan have managed to secure victory?
First thing I want to say is the World Test Championship is so important in this day and age. The way Pakistan have actually shown fight, and I've talked to many people and everyone's like, the old Pakistan would have reacted in the way that, oh, there's only 3 days, let's relax, let's tuk karke runs le, let's just relax, don't worry about it. But this team showed aggression. This team showed proactiveness. They took 13 wickets on day 5, where they were like, 5.5 overs or 5.4 overs left at the end of it. That means they extended the entire day, bowled all the overs they possibly could to try and get those 13 wickets. The way Pakistan have won this is true determination. This is something you don't hear about Pakistan very often, but we saw it in the World Cup, in the T20 World Cup. We've seen it in the T20s against Bangladesh. And now, even in this case, Pakistan showed determination, showed motivation. They were basically the team that was like, no, we're not going to take a draw for an answer. These points are so crucial. Yes, they're playing New Zealand, Australia, England at home, but it's still those teams at home. It's still going to be a challenge. You're talking about Sri Lanka being easy, but for me, it's going to be similar conditions to Bangladesh. And if they're dust bowls, no offense to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka has Embledenia, Mendes, Jayawarama. They have probably, in my opinion, probably some better spinners than Bangladesh. So that's going to be a really, really tough competition for Pakistan. But yes, these points were absolutely crucial. One point I want to mention before we go ahead is the fact that rain and bad weather was the big takeaway until day 4. It was like, oh, it's gonna be a draw. There's no real point. Like, I stopped watching because I was like, barish, rain, then bad light, then this and that. But some bowlers, and I know we'll talk about it, I just want to mention Sajid Khan, right? Doesn't matter how much I badmouth him, okay? Doesn't matter how many bad balls he balls every over, right? But he gets wickets. And I know we'll get into it, but I just wanted to mention Sajid Khan because he was instrumental in this victory.
Absolutely, and I agree that these points are like gold dust for Pakistan going into the World Test Championship or progressing into it. And this is not even the first time Pakistan have beat bad weather and rain to win a test match in this very year. They did it versus West Indies as well in Sabina Park, Jamaica. So they had precedent, and just the character shown by the boys to force a result and get those 20 wickets in less than 120 overs. I think it's a phenomenal achievement, and you're going to have to credit Babar Azam. 8 test matches as captain, 7 victories. And then in this game, his captaincy was so impressive, super aggressive, exactly the kind of brand of cricket you want to see Pakistan playing. And then, declaring the innings after Pakistan had reached 300. And then after that, he even contributed with the ball. He took that very, very vital wicket after tea. He removed Mehdi Hassan Miraz, which kind of ended Bangladesh's resistance in that test match, because at a point it looked like Bangladesh will go on to draw this. So we've talked about his captaincy and his crucial wicket, and I hope we get to see him bowl more often. But one last thing I want to ask you regarding Babar Azam is that he doesn't seem to cash in on his starts. he always loses his wicket on the next day, and then also really has a habit of not going on to make big scores, and he still does not have a daddy 100 in Test cricket. Even though his average is still over 40 and he has won so much in his short reign as captain, what would you like to say about his tendency to get out without scoring those daddy hundreds, and also, of course, his captaincy and that spell?
Right. So let's be positive first. Let's talk about his captaincy. He was aggressive. He was in that mindset where it was like attack, 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 no defensive mindset. It was really unfortunate that Pakistan had to be in a situation where they couldn't bowl their two best bowlers, undoubtedly, which is Shaheen Afridi and Hassan Ali. Because of the weather, because of bad light, they weren't able to contribute as much as Pakistan would have liked. So Sajid Khan and Numan Ali had to be given most of the overs, especially in that second innings. But a lot of the overs had to go to the spinners. Now, the choices he made, such as the declaration, that is such an aggressive move. It's like, you have a power stance. That was a power move. Okay, the way Babar Azam was like, 300? Yeah, that's good enough. We can bowl him out. I was like, 300, is that enough? But the way Rizwan batted, the way Fawad Alam batted, right? They got 50s. They didn't need to go anymore because maybe Babar Azam had that inkling that what if we lose another day? What if something else happens? There's bad light. We might not be able to get these crucial points. Let's just go for it. And in the end, I can't believe Pakistan won with one inning score of 300. I haven't seen that very often. I think that's only happened like 4 or 5 times in Test cricket. It was outstanding. So definitely very impressive, very good captaincy there. He brought himself to bowl in the first innings, almost got a wicket in that first innings as well, and then brought himself back and got a wicket, getting Mehdi Hasan Miraz out. The thing is, Mehdi Hasan Miraz is not a bad batsman at all. He just loves to stick at the crease, stay there, defend, defend, defend. And especially if you have Shakib Al Hasan at the other end, it looked like Bangladesh were in that kind of situation. But thankfully, Babar Azam, the man with the golden arm, it used to be Joe Root, but Joe Root started to bowl a lot more, and then he's getting hit at a 5 economy in the Ashes right now. But Babar Azam definitely, it was a move that no one expected. And when you speak to him, he's like, yeah, I practiced a bit in the nets. I thought, why not give it a go? And it worked.
Even in the change rooms, he was bowling. Apparently got a 10 for.
Yes, exactly. So, you've got 3, you got Jim Laker, Anil Kumble, Ajaz Patel, and then Babar Azam, obviously, right? So yeah, Babar Azam's bowling very good. I think we might see him in Sri Lanka. We might actually see him bowl in Sri Lanka. Now, talk about his batting. So in Test cricket, he seems to, not just Test cricket, this is in general, but in Test cricket, it's more evident because you have more breaks and there's rain delays, the bad light, etc., etc. You have days end. Babar Azam seems to maybe not lose concentration, but he just loses his momentum as soon as there's a break. I don't know how many times this has happened to him. He gets a 50, he gets a 40, he gets 76, right? And then comes back after a day's break and he gets out within the first few overs. This happens to him on a consistent basis. I think it's just the fact that, when he gets into his groove, he's like, yeah, I'm in. And then it takes him a bit of time. So if he's dropped or if he mishits something and it goes past the fielder, things like that, those give him a lot more confidence and then he gets back into the groove of things. But overall, this will elude him for a little while, but hopefully soon, the next Test series, when that comes up, I think Babar Azam should be able to rectify that because it's going to be played in Pakistan. He is very, very familiar with Pakistan conditions, which is fantastic. So Babar Azam definitely, I don't know, daddy hundreds. I don't know if he's going to go that big yet, but he just needs to score 100. I think it's been like a year or so since he scored a 100 in Test cricket. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but definitely he is that caliber that he should be getting 100 sooner rather than later. There's another player right now who hasn't got 100 in over 670 odd days, which is Virat Kohli, right? So there are players who are top class, but they just haven't been able to cross that barrier as of this moment. They will because class is permanent and form goes up and down, but I'm sure Babar Azam will get there. But so far, he just loses a bit of concentration, it seems like, as soon as he comes back from a break. That's the only thing I can say. Otherwise, he just looked really good. He always looks good when he's hitting those cover drives and the flicks down leg side. So yeah, Babar Azam, absolute class, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's an absolute treat to watch. I think he's really maturing wonderfully as a captain, and his decision-making, his field settings, and the way he pushes for results. I'm absolutely in love with the way Babar Azam is leading this team, and the results speak for themselves. 7 victories in 8 Test matches. Now, he hasn't gotten 100 in those 8 Test matches. You'd think it would be a matter of time, of course, with Pakistan's bumper home year really coming up. And it's just that fact that, he was on 76. He had set the platform. The time was ripe for a daddy 100, which we have been waiting for. And once again, he failed to cash in. And that's my only criticism for him, because now he's also started to roll his arm. And as you said, he could be Pakistan's man with a golden arm. You never know. And I like how he is more involved in the game now. Initially, we always saw Babar as a shy character, wasn't a part of the action too much. But now he's always there. The camera's always focusing on him too. So all good things. And I think that daddy 100 too will come with time. I know he wants it for sure. And that will do his average a world of good as well, because Babar Azam is the type of player with the quality who should have a 50+ average in Test cricket. So here's to hoping he rectifies that, and he will have ample opportunity to do so. Moving on from Babar, let's move on to Sajid Khan now. An absolute masterclass. Off-spin bowling is a dying art, Azhar. And you were even critical of Sajid when we spoke on Hit Wicket by Rampus. You said that you don't see enough bite. And I do agree with you to a certain extent, because he doesn't have that delivery that goes the other way. He doesn't have a dusra. So that takes away from his arsenal. But then again, 12 wickets. You could argue that it was spin-conducive conditions. You could also argue that Bangladesh played some extremely rash shots. But you don't just get 12 wickets like that, especially in 8 for, which are the best bowling figures for a Pakistani off-spinner ever, and like 4th best figures for a Pakistani in Test cricket. So you have to give credit to Sajid Khan. And do you see him become a regular feature in Pakistan's Test team in this bumper home season coming up?
Right. That's a really good question, because yes, he had a fantastic game. Can't really argue that. He is a bit wavered. I can't really argue that either. He's not like a normal off spinner, if that makes sense. He doesn't have the metronomic line in length that you expect from an off break bowler. But the thing that he does have is similar to Ajaz Patel, which is you have that ball that just gets the wicket. There's two bowlers, two off-spinners, greats of the modern off-spinning era, Graeme Swann and Nathan Lyon. Both of them did not have the ball that spun away, okay? It was just the ball that spun into the right-handers, or an arm ball, or maybe one that undercuts, or, an overturn or anything like that. But overall, I think what Sajid Khan showed in this game was the fact that if spin-conducive conditions, he is absolutely dangerous as anything. And yes, I do expect to see him as a regular feature for the Pakistan side, because it seems like Pakistan just doesn't want to go back to Yasir Shah, which is shocking for a guy who's taken over 200 wickets. But I understand what they're going for. They're going for a slightly younger player. See if he performs in Pakistani conditions. That would be really good if he can continue this form in Pakistan in this season of Test cricket. Now, you mentioned something about Sajid Khan that I really want to address, was the fact that because he is an off-break bowler, it is kind of like a dying art. I agree. You get mystery spinners, you get leg break bowlers. Off spinners don't become huge bowlers around the world. Right now, if you think of a few right arm off spinners, Ravichandran Ashwin and Nathan Lyon. Everyone else is more like, let's see kind of bowlers, unfortunately. Again, Mehdi Hasan Miraz is getting there. There's a few bowlers who will get there eventually. But right now, it's just those two. And Sajid Khan, if he can keep performing the way that he did, he is an attacking option. He's not a defensive option, which is why you see him change his line in length so much. If we could get the stats that, BCCI gets, right? Which is you could see all the Hawkeye, all the ball tracking in the world, right? That would be very useful, because you'll see how he bowls all over the pitch. But the balls that he gets wickets on are genuinely unplayable, or the deliveries that the batsman thinks they can take on and lose their wicket. You mentioned Bangladesh. Bangladesh batsmen did not hit the best shots. I can't really argue with that either. The fact that they lost wickets so quickly, so rapidly, 13 wickets in a day on day 5 is no joke. And on top of that, a lot of them were also Sajid Khan, all right? So he
also 7 wickets in the last session of day 4.
Yeah, so fantastic. That's the thing. The way Pakistan bowled, the way Sajid Khan, in a way, led from the front, because he is the younger of the two spinners. He is the less experienced of the two spinners. And I'd rather not mention the way Noman Ali has bowled this entire series. He's looked like the guy without bite. And Sajid Khan's like, I'll just take the reins for now. Let's see what I can do. And he was actually very, very useful on this track. Noman Ali, unfortunately, I know we're not going to touch upon the negatives as much, but Noman Ali was one of the disappointments of this series. He just didn't look like the Noman Ali we've seen in Pakistan. And he probably needs to adjust something within his arsenal. And again, he's a very good bowler as well, but it was just not his series. And Sajid Khan stepped up. And the more I talk about him, the more I want to say, I was wrong. I was wrong. But the fact remains, 12 wickets, 8 wickets in an innings, 4th best for a Pakistani bowler. And as you said, the best off-spinning figures for a Pakistani bowler. So yeah, very, very impressive.
I actually missed the last session of the 4th day, and when I woke up and saw Sajid 6 for, you were the first person I thought about. And I was like, I told Sajid, reserve your opinions about Sajid. Let's just hold off right now and let's see what he has to offer. And you know, he was the leading wicket taker in last year's Azam Trophy, 67 wickets in 11 odd games. So he has come to Pakistan's test team on merit, which is very, very important. And of course, I do hope that he features more regularly for Pakistan. You brought up a very good point over there with Noman Ali, and I think it's worth touching upon over here because he went wicketless in the series and he has been quite successful for Pakistan ever since he made his test debut up until this point. And it's not like he bowled bad lines and stuff. He was quite consistent, but you just didn't see that bite, and it was quite concerning because Shaheen and Hassan, they've been brilliant. They're Pakistan's leading test wicket takers in 2021, and they got 14 combined, 7 apiece in the last test. Sure, Shaheen got 3 in this game, 1 in the first innings, 2 in the second, and Hassan got 2 in the second because he didn't bowl in the first innings. But they did their part. They played their role. Noman Ali was that weak link where you were like, okay, is he playing his role or not? And I like him. He's also a very handy batsman. But I just feel like Pakistan, you know, in this upcoming home season, they might opt for a leg spinner because it's the same angle as Noman Ali and they will have a wrong gun. Especially if they play Zahid Mahmood, because I'm not sure if they'll go back to Yasir Shah. I won't be entirely opposed to that, but it's been a while since Yasir Shah has performed. So going into the future, how do you see this Pakistani bowling attack shape up? Because you're sorted as far as paces are concerned. Fahim Ashraf has done a good enough job and also adds batting depth. But in the spin department, I don't think you can consistently go with Noman and Sajid.
Yeah, I think that will be a very important talking point, especially considering we're playing in Pakistan, right? The next few test matches and test series specifically. So Sajid Khan might need to be the guy Pakistan sticks with, and Noman Ali, Zahid Mahmood, if Yasir Shah comes into play, right? Maybe Bilal Asif, whoever they actually pick, they are going to get more of a chance. However, saying that, next test match Pakistan plays, they're going to go with Sajid and Noman. They're going to bank on these two. If Noman doesn't perform again, then I think Pakistan might go with the leg spinning option. Otherwise, I think they're going to stick with him. And to be honest, I understand he did really well earlier this year when he started playing for Pakistan, in Pakistan as well. So I would give him a few more matches at least. But Noman Ali, very handy with the bat as well. In terms of the pace, I agree with you. Shaheen, Hassan, and then Fahim as the first change bowler. I don't see Pakistan making a change unless it's really pace conducive conditions, or it's the other way around. Maybe it's spin conducive like crazy and they're like, maybe we don't need Fahim. Maybe we need to kind of jig up the bowling lineup. But otherwise, yeah, I think I'm fairly sure that Pakistan are going to go with the side that they've got.
Fair enough. And yeah, we have seen this trend in Pakistan's teams, regardless of format, that they do back their players a lot. So I do think you're right over there. They're going to persist with Noman and Sajid as the 2 spin options. And then if Noman fails again, they might change that. On to the batting, I want to talk about the openers first. Pakistan had a really good series as far as the openers are concerned, because this has been a big problem for Pakistan in the past. And Abid Ali, sure, you could make the argument that he only scores runs against Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Zimbabwe, the lower ranked sides in the test circuit. But then again, he scores big runs versus them. He was the man of the series, got around 212 runs, I think, in the first test match combined. And then Abdullah Shafiq was such a refreshing sort of player in this series. He had a wonderful debut, scored 73 and 55 odd, something like that, 120 odd runs in the first test. And even though they didn't get 50s in this one, they still gave you a start. Abid got 39, Abdullah Shafiq got 25. So would you say that now, given that Pakistan is playing the next 8 test matches at home, is Pakistan's opening conundrum, which has so long been associated with Pakistan, especially in test cricket, do you think it's solved?
People might disagree with me. I don't think it's solved. I don't think it's solved completely. However, if Pakistan do what they're doing with our one-down batsman, which is Azhar Ali, you're backing him until he gives you a big score or a mediocre score, at least like an average score, which is 56, which you got in this match, right? If you keep backing these openers, they're going to score runs. And if you talked about Abid Ali in Asia is like Don Bradman. I'm telling you, like this guy just scores runs upon runs in Asia. So utilize him as much as you can in Asia, right? You're playing in Pakistan, utilize him as much as possible. Abdullah Shafiq, fantastic debut. Both of them, again, the first 2 partnerships they had ever in Test cricket were over 100-run partnerships. This partnership, I think it was around 50, 60 runs as well. So both of these guys work well together, bat well together. They kind of have an understanding, which is great to see. So for the meantime, I think Pakistan might have, but I don't expect Pakistan to stick with these 2, especially if they're going abroad. Even if they're going to Sri Lanka, I feel like Pakistan will be thinking, oh, Imam ko khila do. or let's get someone else. Oh, let's put Saud in the opening position. Let's see what happens. But so far, because Abdullah performed, Abid Ali isn't going anywhere, especially in Asia. But Abdullah Shafiq performed, it would be hard done. It would be a very Pakistani thing to do, to drop him after this performance. But I think this team is different. And for that reason, I think they're going to back these openers, definitely.
I do think that they will back these openers, and I'm really, really impressed by Abdullah Shafiq. He got 100 on his first-class debut. He got 100 in his first T20 ever. And now on his test match debut, he got 250s. And he seems the sort of batsman who has a lot of composure and temperament, the right sort of mold that a test match opener should be. So I am really impressed. But Abid Ali, I'm going to counter you over there. With respect to Abid, it's not so much about the conditions. It's more so with respect to the opposition, because he failed miserably versus South Africa at home. And against opposition, which are not Sri Lanka, Bangladesh or Zimbabwe, he averages a paltry 18.8. And I think that definitely is an area of concern. So if he doesn't perform in this home season, I think it might be unfortunately curtains for Abid. But let's see, I'm all for backing this opening pair. What I'm more concerned about is actually Azhar Ali. Now, Pakistan's batsmen played really well in the second test match. Rizwan got 53 not out. Fawad got 50 not out. Both of those guys have been consistently delivering runs for Pakistan, have been amongst the runs and have been consistent performers. No problems over there. Azhar Ali did get 56, but it wasn't the most attractive of 50s. And then also, you know, he's had a lean patch with the bat for quite a while now. In the last 31 test matches since the retirement of Misbah and Yunus, he averages only 33.7 with the bat. In fact, I've written a piece for Grassroots Cricket, so all of you viewers should go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. My question to you is, Sajid, has Azhar Ali done enough with this score of 56 to keep his place in the team? Because I know he will play the next test match, but do you think he's done enough? Because you've got some amazing, talented cricketers waiting in the wings. And Saud Shakil, he averages 49.95 in first-class cricket in 48 games. And then you've also got Kamran Ghulam, average of 50 plus. He has the record of most number of runs scored in a single Quaid-e-Azam Trophy season. With these guys sitting on the bench, do you think Azhar Ali is doing enough to retain his place in the side?
First of all, great plug. Absolutely love it, because I was going to plug it anyway. So please do check it out. Really nice read. I don't think he's done enough. No, he has not. He's not done enough all year long. But again, I agree. He's going to play. Yes, Saud Shakil is fantastic. Kamran Ghulam had a stellar season last year. But Azhar Ali has that experience factor. Azhar Ali has been playing for Pakistan for over 10 years. Consistent. I think he's played over 80 tests now easily, right? And if they drop him, he's going to be dropped permanently, like Asad Shafiq, unfortunately, right? So I don't see Azhar Ali going anywhere. Even if Azhar Ali doesn't perform in the next game, that's the only time that I might be thinking. But even in that case, let me be straight with you. Azhar Ali is going to get at least a couple of games. In Pakistan, he's going to get a couple of games. And then the series after that would be, maybe Pakistan considers bringing in Saud Shakil or Kamran Ghulam or anyone else that Pakistan got. Usman Salahuddin, someone who no one ever talks about. So yeah, definitely. I think Azhar Ali did not do enough, but in the Pakistan opinion, he's done enough to secure his position for the next match.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Even though he has scored 56 in the second test match, I think Azhar Ali is on extremely thin ice. On a final note, Azhar, Bangladesh were extremely poor in this test series, especially the second test match. I mean, losing 20 wickets in 117 or 18 odd overs, 4 sessions, that makes for pathetic reading, for the lack of a better word. And you really didn't see any of their new players stand up to the occasion. The only people who provided some sort of resistance were Litton Das. He was the pick of their batsman. And then Shakib in the second test match got about 96 runs and really took the game deep in the second innings, scored 63. Mushafiqur Rahim scored 48 in the second innings as well, and Litton 45. And I guess Nazmul Hussain Shanto is the only other player I can think of who I think could have a future international cricket. So what do you think is the future for Bangladesh in test cricket? And also, do you think that they can compete at this level if this is what has happened to them at home? And they also lost versus West Indies, remember, early in the year, a series they should have won.
That's a really loaded question. I'll try and give you the best answer I possibly can. Number one, they do have the players, but that infrastructure is not producing the players that they want, not the players that they need, because Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim got maximum of 3 years, maybe 4 years in test cricket, and then they're gone, right? Mehdi Hasan Miraz could be groomed into a replacement for Shakib over the years, but there is no one else who can replace the big guns. There's no one else to replace Tamim Iqbal either at the top of the order. There's a few batsmen. You talked about Shantu. This guy was so good domestically that it was an expectation that he would be the next Tamim. But he's just not been as consistent. He's not been that fire that they require, unfortunately. Now, in terms of the prospects, in terms of the players they have at the moment, I'm really excited by Taijul Islam. I'm really excited by Litton Das. Litton Das, I believe, was the second or third highest scorer in the series. And dude was the guy who Pakistan, as soon as he came in at what, like 6-7, and Pakistan would not be able to get him out cheaply. He'd always score runs. He'll try and actually push Pakistan to a limit, and then eventually he gets out. But he played a magnificent knock in both matches, so I was very impressed with him. And then I got to talk about Shakib Al Hasan coming back in the second match. Dude does not lose a step, okay, whatever it is. Yes, Sajid Khan got him out on a beauty, but until that point, it genuinely looked like, yeah, Bangladesh is going to draw this because you've got Shakib Al Hasan. You have that faith in him. And he's become, I believe, the 5th or the 6th all-rounder in the history of Test cricket to have taken 200 wickets and over 4,000 runs, or something along those lines.
That is it.
Yeah, so very impressed with the way he's gone for a number of years. It'll be very difficult to see Bangladesh replace someone of that quality. Now, in terms of their future, again, it's got to go back to the grassroots. No puns intended, right? It's got to go back to that. They need to understand what they need in this team and groom those types of players. They understand with T20 cricket, especially at home, they understand what they need. But in Test cricket, they just seem to be a bit out of sorts. Now, I think they are able to keep to this level, but maybe they just need some fire in them, right? Again, don't just get spin-friendly conditions, right? Because you're going to face Asian teams that could do really well here. You're going to face West Indies who beat you on your home soil. So I think Bangladesh can hang in the Test arena. They just need to revamp in some sort of way, ideally, with regards to changing the dust bowls they always create, finding replacements or people with potential that could replace these two big guns, right? That they have that are going to go somewhere, and bring them into the side. Have them as successors to these guys. Those are my thoughts.
Yes, I agree for the most part. And also, I just think they need to focus a bit more on first-class cricket, because you see Shakib is pulled out of the New Zealand tour now. They really, really missed Tamim Iqbal, both in the T20 World Cup and this Test series. And you just see that once this old guard retires, Tamim, Mushfiq or Shakib, they don't really have any replacements coming in. And that's exactly why their future is not looking very good. Their fast bowling stocks are not very impressive, especially in Test cricket. And then also, you know, Taijul and Mehdi are good in spin-conducive conditions, but what are they going to do abroad? So these are questions that Bangladesh cricket needs to answer. And yeah, it's a worrisome time for them, because once these guys retire, who do they look up to? Because there's no youngster standing up and raising their hands that, okay, I will take this team forward. But anyway, that's a wrap for Volume 93, folks. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, like it, share, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, Azhar, for making it to the show once again. It's always an absolute pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure for me. I'm always up for a chat, especially cricket related. Love being on your channel. For everyone watching, please like, share, and subscribe to CRIQAZI Diaries. Check out the link in the description. Read his article. He's a very good writer. All right, awesome. Like, honestly. So please do check him out. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for those humbling words. And of course, don't forget to hit that bell icon in order to be notified about all of my latest videos. I'll catch you soon enough. Till then, I'll see you when I'll see you. Qazi off the mic.
Have a look at that. Smiles up. Oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, happy for the members, and it went like a rocket.